All right. Well, yesterday, while I was finishing up, I went ahead and brought out the passenger side guard plate, and I had a little bit of the green paint left. I don't know if it really shows up good, but I did the top edge of it. I got some more paint coming tomorrow, and then we're going to get the side prepped so I can get this panel on today. So the things that we need to do is remove the 8 screws that hold this outer fender guard off. We need to pull the inner fender liner out so we can get the turn signal off, or the turn signal, the brake light off, and then that way I can put the new one on. And I think this is cut around these, so I don't have to worry about doing the hinges. So that's all good. We'll get that all off. And then once I get that out, I am doing this by myself, so that plate weighs about 40 pounds, I think is what it said. So getting it up here in place and figure out how it's going to mount might be a little bit of a trick at start. But we'll figure it out. So I think, if I remember what it said, these are 8 mil. So I'll need to hunt down a 8 mil to get those removed. I don't think I need to jack it up and take the tire off. I've got plenty of room. Supposedly the second part of my oil pan gasket's supposed to be in today. So maybe I can get the oil pan back in and get some of the other stuff done. So next we're going to do is get this fender flare off. All right, so the bolt side is an 8 mil. And the back side is this little rubbery plastic piece. I've been using a pair of these guys to hang on to it just so they don't spin. And then right there's one hole, 2 holes, and there's another one right there. That got this piece of plastic out here, which is that bottom one, and it's just these push pin type connectors, and I used a door panel remover to get those out because that worked really well. So I have 2 left. I have one right there, which is being a real pain in the ass because it's recessed down into the plastic, and I have this one right there that's just about out, and then this side will be out. But you can see how flimsy this back metal is. It just moves. So getting there's no damage to the side. A lot of people use these to cover up damage. I'm using it to prevent damage. That's pretty thick compared to the bumper, which is like 16 gauge or less than a 1/4 inch. That's pretty thick, 7/8 I would say. It's pretty thick steel, so they're really heavy compared to the bumper. That is way heavier than the bumper. So once I get this done, then I should be able to get this inner fender liner out, and I'm probably not going to put the fender liner back in. I don't know, we'll see, but I have a pretty good guess I'm not going to put it back. All right, so let me get these last 2 bolts out of here. Hopefully it comes out pretty easy. All right, well, just like that, it's off. No damage to it, so I can hopefully throw it online, maybe sell it for a few bucks. Somebody might want a set of factory ones. I've got 4 good ones on this thing, so we'll get that out of the way. And then I got to figure out, that is definitely, I think that's a 10. I'm just trying to see if there's any others. There's 1, 2. Is that right? So I think this fender liner, once I get these back 2 out, I think, oh, nope, there's some here in the front too. Oh, those are bigger. Oh, there's one here too. Okay, so there's one right there. One here. One here. And I think 1, 2, it looks like 2 down here in the front. So, and then I can pull the whole inner fender liner out. And that will get me to the brake light. All right, so a few more things I need to pull out of here. All right, so this one, and the one that was here, which are these guys, focus. For some reason, those seem to be 3/8. That seems to be working really well. I believe I just have the front 2 left that are right here and here. And then I should be able to pull that fender liner out. I felt around, I didn't find any other bolts in there. So let me get these last 2 out and see what happens. All right, so I have all the bolts out, I think. So, double check here. Feels like everything's loose. All right, I think I'm gonna need both hands to kind of bend that. It's kind of pretty hard. Oops, I see one more. Didn't see it in all the mud and dirt. It just kind of blended in. All right, so I got one more. All right, getting this inner liner out is kind of a pain. It's really rigid, and the lip is up underneath the lip of the body. So if you don't take yours out, in the instructions for my fender flares, it says you have to take it out. I was going to take it out anyway because I hate these stupid things. They're always in the way. But yeah, so I just got this one little section here to finish prying out, and then the whole thing should just slip on out of there. All right, if you get the front edge out, you can just turn the whole thing a little bit of an angle and pull out. It's easier than trying to pull out the rear first. So get the front out first, get that out. So I probably am going to spray some bed liner material up in here once I get it all cleaned out, but that'll be down the road. So I want this all covered in bed liner. Give it a little bit more protection, but now I don't have to worry about those fender liners anymore. I've seen them, especially if you get your wheel tucked up in there pretty good. I've seen them actually get ripped off and tangled in the tire and shit. So I'm not a fan of them, but you know, some people are. So now in order to get to the taillight, there's this panel here, but then there's access on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out, and I guess I'll reach up there and see about unscrewing it, the taillight. Okay, well, I reached up there with my hand just to figure out where the bolts were, and they're not very tight. So I don't know if I can unscrew all of them. So there's a total of 3. Yeah. Yeah, they're just finger tight. Well, maybe a little bit more than finger tight. Either that, I just got really strong fingers. Oops. Just dropped in the other nut somewhere down here. Shit. Oh, found it. There it is. All right. Yeah, so they're all in there finger tight. So let me get the last one out, and I should be able to pull out this taillight. All right, so not too difficult to get out. The top one was a little hard for me to reach, but I ended up using a 3/8 on the top nut. It really didn't need it. I just couldn't reach it with my finger very good. It's only got 3 screws, but whoever put this in was sort of, let's just call him a dumbass. So this black wire was just wrapped around the top nut, no connector or nothing, just wrapped around the nut. And then we have 4 wires coming out of the brake light turn signal. 2 of them are not hooked up. It doesn't look like they've ever been hooked up. The run turn brake light factory connector, somebody just cut the red or the white black and left it hanging, and then the red wire, green wire didn't have a nut. I didn't find it on the ground, so it must have fallen off. And yeah, this is just kind of shitty. So good thing I was taking this apart. I would have never known that. It probably could have ground out and burned up the light or something at some point. So I'm going to fix all of that before I put it back in. I'll plug it into the plug here and make sure it all works before I put it back. And we will actually make all these connections right so that this isn't whatever this is. I'm sure the other one is. It's probably why the front headlight on the driver's side goes on and off. I've wiggled it and it goes back on. So I'm going to have to check all the wiring of these LED lights that they put in, because yeah, it just looks like they just kind of threw it together with whatever connectors they had floating around the house. I really hate these kind of connectors. All right, so I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Just knock off all this extra dust and stuff so it's a little cleaner between there, and then I will figure out how to get that panel over here, and then figure out what it will take to get it into place. I think I can use these holes here maybe to get it in line, and then I can drill the uppers. It's a 3/8 drill bit that we're going to have to use. Went to the hardware store yesterday, picked up a brand new set of bits, so I have some nice sharp ones, because the ones I have are dull and old and I didn't want to sharpen them. I figured I'll just buy some, and since I'm going to have a lot of drilling to do in the next few days between the fenders and the front fenders, the rear fenders, these side panels, and then I've got these sliders coming as well. So all right, on to the next part, getting that over here. Hope my back holds up. Well, one thing I didn't pay attention to when I was putting the rear bumper on was this piece right here. On the other bumper, it was straight. It didn't have this hook, and you could put the sides on without having to take the rear bumper back off, or at least loosening it up and pull it away. But on this particular one, because it does have this little corner here, I'm going to have to loosen the bumper back up and pull it away from the body a little bit, which is fine. I've only got one bolt in it right now because I had to go to the hardware store and pick up some more hardware so that I had all nice matching hardware instead of mismatched and whatnot. So I put grade 8 hardware back there, which is going to be way stronger than the bumper. So all right, at least it's easy. It's right here. So I'll go ahead and zap that loose real quick, and then I should be able to fit this corner on here. Okay, so I had to take the whole bumper off, so basically we're going to start over. I used a big C-clamp just to hold it up against the body, and then I was going to use a small C-clamp right here around on the back edge, and I was pushing it into place, and I noticed that, you know, it's going to have to line up with all these holes. So what I ended up doing was the little stopper bracket that was here, I just used my hand to hold it up in place, and I put these 4 bolts in, and everything lines up. But if you look down there, that's still pretty crooked. So we have a gap here at the bottom because it's twisted. So I'm going to go do the same thing. I'm going to use a couple of these holes at the front end because this one doesn't line up, as you can see, not quite. So I'm going to use a couple of the ones up there, and then I will get this nice and straight, and then I'll start drilling these out with the 3/8 bit, and we'll get some bolts in there. And once we have this one pretty much just set, we'll go ahead and do the other one so I can put the bumper back in place so it's not sitting in my living room. All right, so we're on to the front edge, and we'll figure out where a good set of bolts is for that, and then we'll get that going. Okay, well, I didn't put any bolts in it. What I did was loosen the clamp a little bit and then get my hand up underneath here and push it up until it looked pretty straight, and then tighten it back down. And now it looks like all of the original factory holes line up. I might go ahead and put a couple screws in it just to make sure that it's completely lined up before I start drilling, but it looks pretty good. It looks like we have a pretty solid little seam right there, so that's going to work. So yay. And any damage I do here I'll repaint, but this will be covered by the fender arch that I got because I got the tube fenders, so the factory flares aren't going back on anyway. I'm already getting winded. Yeah, my blood sugar's still not quite where it needs to be. But let's get this one on and get a couple of these holes drilled so we can do the other side and put the bumper back in place. All right, so I ran some pilot holes in this very front one here at the top edge of the door, the one at the corner, one at the back corner, and then I went ahead and did the 3/8. And I'm going to go ahead and just put those 3 bolts in there for now. Then I'm going to take this clamp off, put the outer fender on, make sure it all lines up, and then I'll finish drilling these other ones out. But I'm going to do the other side first. That way I can put the back bumper back on. So let me get these 3 bolts in, and then I'll go inside and grab the outer fender. All right, so I've got the 3 bolts, pieces of hardware in. That one's in. These 2 here are in and nice and tight. Everything still lines up. So we're gonna go get the fender, tube fender, and see how it all looks. And now the only question is, on the packaging it said there's a left and a right, but I can't tell the difference. So I'm assuming once I get it out here, I'll be able to tell which one's the left one and the right one. All right, let me go grab it. All right, so I brought out the fender, tube fender. It looks like it's longer in the front than it is in the back, so it looks like I grabbed the right one. Now I just got to make sure that the hardware fits through the hole. I might have to drill these out a little bit to get that in. And I'll start with doing the back one, and then I'll do the front one over here. That way I can pivot it up and I can only use one hand. Sometimes you just get creative. All right, so let me double check the holes, make sure they fit. If not, I'll have to drill them out. It didn't say anything in the instructions about drilling it out. I did sort of read through it, and the only thing that said you had to drill out with these. So not sure about these other ones, but it came with all new hardware, so we won't be reusing any of the old hardware. Well, I got the rear one and the front one in. They're snug, and I have it pushed up and moved over, and some of the holes don't line up at all. Some of them line up just a little. Some of them are way off. So only the 2 outer ones actually do anything. If I try to line up any of the rest of them, they're completely off. So it is what it is. So looks like we're just going to go ahead and drill some holes and call that what it is. Trying to see here. Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer. So I'm going to end up drilling out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. At least on this side. Now, I've twisted and manipulated this, and it's weird because this hole here, it's this forward, and on this hole here it's that way. So it's not that it's just off, it's completely off. Now I might, we'll have to see. Yeah, no, it's off. Because everything else sort of lines up where it's supposed to be. Actually, this one's maybe a little low. I don't know. But yeah. And these aren't on there that tight, so I can still move this around a little bit. All right, so I guess we're going to play around with it. But I kind of want to just hop on the other side so I can get all this stuff out of my house, because right now it's tying up floor space. So I'm going to think about this for a minute, go inside and get myself a tea, and then come back and either tackle the other side or drill out some more holes on this side so I can get everything to line up, and then we'll jump on the other side. But right now everything's sort of in place, so it's not going to come back off. All right, well, I haven't made it inside to get my tea yet, but I did come up with a better option. So what I did was I took this lower screw back out, and then I moved this up a little bit, the fender, and I was able to get 4 in, plus the one I had in over there. So now it looks like the holes are a lot closer. This one is off just a little bit, but now I can drill that out and it should be much better. So I'd rather drill 2 than 5. So now I'm gonna go get some tea. These are just threaded in. The nuts aren't on. I'm gonna go ahead and put the nuts on. But yeah, I'd rather drill just the 3 out or the 2 out than I have to instead of 5. So that's a much better option. But yeah, see now it doesn't line up quite as nice over here, and then the line disappears. So I can either come back in and trim that. I'm gonna paint this all green, so it's gonna disappear anyway. But yeah, much better. All right, now it's tea time. All right, well, one of these fender liners has been off in the past because on this one, the plastic keeper is on the outside, and on the other one, it was a nut head or bolt head. And every single one on this side is that way. So yeah, one of these was definitely done backwards. So what I'm gonna have to do is pull the inner fender liner out on this side to even get to the bolts. So yeah, I'm not putting that back in. Waste of time. All right, so it looks like I'm down to 2. This one, and then I thought I was gonna be able to pull the inner fender liner back out of this on this side, but apparently on this one over here where the fuel lines are, there's another bolt holding this last little tab. So I'm gonna have to crawl into the Jeep to get that. But I don't know how I'm supposed to get to this back side of this one with the little plastic thing in the way, because there's no room. Same thing on this bottom one, there's just no room. There's a lot of mud caked in there, so maybe if once I scrape out some of the mud, it'll be easier to get to. But this one here is going to be a pain because I can feel it, but with the way this is bent, I don't know if I'm going to be actually able to get it out. So we'll have to see what happens. All right, so I've got 3 stubborn bolts. This one here is a 3/8. It's right above the fuel filter. I didn't have enough room, so I'm going to use one of these ratcheted, double-sided, triple-sided deals. So I got 3/8 on that side, and hopefully I'll be able to get it. And of course I got the damn thing set the wrong way. Okay, and then I just got the 2 on the inner fender to see about getting out. All right, so that's going to work. I need both hands to hold that in place, but now you can see where it's at. All right, got the bolt out. A little bit of pain, but it only took about 30 seconds or so. But I was just looking up here under my transfer case of the amount of mud and crap that's on the skid pan. That's the bolt I had to cut to get everything to loosen up. So I need to get a new bolt. I did get a new transmission mount, I just haven't had a chance to put it in. Catalytic converter almost looks like it might be original. I do have a bit of a leak here at the end of my transmission or transfer case. I do want to get a slip yoke eliminator kit and do that, but I'm gonna wait until I get the rear axle swapped. That way I only have to replace the drive shaft once. Okay, back to the 2 stubborn ones, and then I need to get access to that tail light on the driver's side, which I think I'm gonna have to move. Man, this thing is just filthy. I'm gonna have to move the fuel filter neck just so I can get out of there, get it out of there. Okay, so put this back, put this other bag of bolts. So this is all the factory bolts right here. If I sell the liners, I'll just give those to those people. But and all the new hardware that came with the fender flares and the corner guards. Lots of, I don't know what they said. You need these really long ones for the, but I'm not sure where it says in the bottom and the front. So I'm not really sure why, unless there's something in here that it's trying to clear. But we'll get to that later. Right now I just have these two last corner ones here I want to get out of here, and then I can finish getting the tail light off, and then we can start installing the new fender guard. Alright, to get that last one out, this one here that was in, I ended up getting this little 3-inch extension. It gave me enough room to push it in there and then push against the body panel to get everything to work. So now I should be able to pull this inner liner out. That only took like forever, and then we can start getting the last, the stuff off the back, and then I can bring the driver's side panel out once I wipe this side down and get it set up. So let's go ahead and see about getting the liner out. All right, it was a little bit of a struggle, but I got it out. It's over there. So now the only thing we have left to get off is the tail light, and I think we still need to remove the surround around the filler neck. At least we're gonna have to do it to reach up there and get the 3 bolts undone on that tail light anyway. So let's see what else we got. We got some water dripping from somewhere. At least I'm hoping that's water down there, not fuel. It doesn't smell like fuel. All right, let's go in the back. All right, well, same deal. At least they used some crimp-on ones on this side that weren't just threaded on, so that's some plus. But again, we've got a wire that's not connected to anything. We've got a couple of wires here that are not connected to anything. So I should be able to reach up there now and get the bolts to the taillight out, and I don't know if I need to remove this one. I'll bring out the rear piece and find out, and this one will be more of a challenge, I think, to line up just because, but we'll see how things go. All right, so at least they sort of got a ground on the driver's side. Problem is that for whatever reason they did not worry about those 2 exposed wires. They just hacked into them, left them exposed right next to each other. Who knows what they're about. Again, so this was supposed to have 4 wires. It only has 3. This is a 4-wire connector, but again, we don't know what this other wire is for. So and apparently the one that's missing is the ground. So if I can find out, if I can take this apart, which I think I can, I should be able to install a plug into that, and then we should be able to just rewire this into the factory. Maybe we'll figure it out. All right, that's something for a minute later. So we're going to finish getting this out of the way, then we're going to go get the corner. All right, so I have the driver's side lined up, so this back section, all the holes are done. On mine, I had to use a clamp back here to pull this corner to the body, because before it was like a 1/2 inch sticking out into the outer space. But we have pretty much a nice tight gap along the edge of the thing here. The reason why we're so tight on this side is we got these holes to line up a little bit. Not lined up here though, and barely lined up there. So what we're going to do, just like we did on the other side, I'm going to put one of the bolts in here, probably this one, and the one up there in front, and then we'll get the fender and put it on and see how things line up. All right, so I got the front one in, and I got these 2 back corner ones in. Now I'm gonna go get the fender, outer fender for this side, and see how those holes line up. And then once I get it up there with the, it looks like 3 holes, 4 holes that are gonna line up, I'm gonna call it quits for the day, but let's go get that real quick. All right, so it pretty much lines up pretty good around the back. This fender flare is covering this hole. I'm going to have to loosen it up so I can get that drilled out and put the bolt in it. we ended up getting 4 in. This one almost is in, but the hole's just a little bit that way, so I'm gonna have to drill that one. Gonna have to drill that one just out a little bit, and that one needs to be drilled out. So not too bad. We got 3. I have 2 of these tightened up, so everything's in line holding. These are just sitting in here for right now. So tomorrow when I get back on it, I will finish drilling out all the holes, finish securing both sides, and then putting the rear bumper back on, because it's already time for me to call quits for the day. So I'll get the bumper put back on, and then I'll be able to start probably, well, actually my gasket for my oil pan is supposed to be here today, so maybe once I get this bolted up tomorrow, the next thing I'll do is jump on finishing getting the motor back together so that we can get it running again. That'd be nice. Got my handy dandy screwdriver hood prop going on, but everything else is good. Motor's nice and whatever. I got my brackets and everything. I have the intake. I'm going to clean up the new TJ intake and get it swapped over so I can use the new pulley or the power steering bracket and all that. I got a new pulley for the power steering. It's got the 3 holes in it. I'm going to swap this one out and put the other one on. That way I can use that. But I think that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and if the weather's good tomorrow and everybody stays healthy, we'll be back at it.